Many of us struggle with bad habits. We often feel guilty about them, whether it's eating junk food, endlessly scrolling on our phones, or, staying up too late. We might think these habits are a sign of weakness or a lack of self-control, but this is not the full picture. Our bad habits are not random actions that just appear out of nowhere. They exist for a reason. They are often our body and mind's attempt to solve a problem or meet an underlying need. Understanding this simple but powerful idea is the very first step towards making a real lasting change in our lives. Think about it this way. Every habit you have, good or bad, serves a purpose. It is a solution to a recurring issue you face. Perhaps you bite your nails when you feel anxious. The nail biting is a response to the feeling of stress. Maybe you reach for a sugary snack in the afternoon when your energy dips. The snack is a quick, albeit temporary, fix for that feeling of fatigue. These actions become automatic because they provide some kind of immediate benefit or relief. They are not a reflection of who you are as a person, but rather a learned strategy to cope with a particular feeling or situation. When we try to stop a bad habit using willpower alone, we often fail. This is because we are fighting against a behavior that is deeply ingrained and serves a purpose. It's like trying to hold a beach ball underwater. It takes a lot of effort, and the moment you lose focus, the ball shoots right back up to the surface. Instead of just fighting the urge, a much more effective approach is to understand why the urge is there in the first place. What is the deeper need that this habit is trying to satisfy? Is it a need for comfort, distraction, connection, or relief from boredom? Once we uncover the real cause behind our habits, we can start to address the root of the problem. This changes everything. We move from a place of self-blame to a place of self-awareness and compassion. We can see our habits not as character flaws, but as misguided attempts to feel better. This shift in perspective is crucial because it empowers us to find healthier, more constructive ways to meet those same underlying needs. True change doesn't come from fighting our nature, but from working with it to build better patterns of behavior that genuinely support our well-being. To truly change a habit, we need to understand how it is formed in our brain. James Clear, in his book, Atomic Habits, explains this process beautifully with a simple four-step model. This model is often called the habit loop, and it consists of a cue, a craving, a response, and a reward. Every single one of our habits, from brushing our teeth to checking our emails, follows the same neurological pattern. Understanding these four steps gives us a framework to deconstruct our bad habits and then rebuild better ones in their place. It is a roadmap for understanding our own behavior. The first step is the cue. This is the trigger that tells your brain to initiate a behavior. It's the little piece of information that predicts a reward. The cue could be a time of day, a specific location, an emotional state, or even the presence of certain people. For example, the notification sound from your phone is a cue. The smell of coffee brewing in the morning is a cue. Feeling stressed or bored is also a very common cue for many of our less helpful habits. The cue itself is neutral, but it starts the entire habit process. Next comes the craving. The craving is the motivational force behind every habit. It is not the habit itself that you crave, but the change in state that it delivers. You don't crave smoking a cigarette, you crave the feeling of relief from stress that it provides. You don't crave scrolling through social media, you crave the distraction from boredom or the feeling of connection it might offer. This craving is what gives the cue its meaning and drives you to act. Without a craving, there is no reason to respond and no habit will be formed. The final two steps are the response and the reward. The response is the actual habit you perform, whether it's a thought or an action. It is the behavior you engage in, like picking up your phone, eating the cookie, or opening your laptop. The final step, the reward, is the end goal of every habit. The reward serves two purposes. It satisfies your craving and it teaches your brain which actions are worth remembering in the future. The feeling of relief, the sweet taste, or the moment of distraction all reinforce the habit loop, making it more likely you will repeat the behavior next time the cue appears. Now that we know about the four-step habit loop, we can use it like a detective to investigate our own behaviors. The key to breaking a bad habit is to identify each part of its loop. The cue that triggers it, the underlying craving it satisfies, and the reward it delivers. Let's take a common example, the habit of constantly checking your phone. Many people want to reduce their screen time but find it incredibly difficult. The first step is to become aware of when and why you are reaching for your device. This requires a bit of mindfulness and honest self-reflection. To find the cue, ask yourself some simple questions the next time you feel the urge to check your phone. What just happened right before the urge appeared? Where are you? What time is it? What emotional state are you in? Who is with you? You might discover that the cue is not always a notification. Often the cue is an internal feeling. Perhaps you feel a moment of boredom while waiting in a queue. Maybe you feel a pang of anxiety about a work project. Or perhaps you just finished a difficult task and are looking for a mental break. The cue is the starting pistol for the entire routine. Once you've identified the cue, the next step is to uncover the craving. What are you really hoping to get from checking your phone in that moment? The craving is rarely about needing to see the latest news or a specific email. More often, the craving is for a change in your emotional state. If the cue was boredom, the craving is for entertainment or stimulation. If the cue was anxiety, the craving is for distraction or reassurance. If the cue was loneliness, the craving is for social connection. Naming the craving is a powerful step because it reveals the true motivation behind your actions. Finally, you need to understand the reward. Does checking your phone actually satisfy the craving? Sometimes it does, but often it's a fleeting and unsatisfying fix. You might get a brief hit of novelty from scrolling, but it doesn't truly cure your boredom or anxiety in the long term. By consciously observing this entire loop, from the cue that starts it to the often disappointing reward at the end, you begin to see the habit for what it is. It's an automatic and often unhelpful solution to a deeper feeling. This awareness is what gives you the power to start making a change. Understanding your habit loop is the first half of the battle. The second half is actively intervening to break the cycle. James Clear provides a simple and incredibly practical framework for this. For each of the 4 steps of the habit loop, there is an opposite action we can take to dismantle a bad habit. These are called the 4 laws of behavior change in reverse. To break a bad habit, you need to make the cue invisible, make the craving unattractive, make the response difficult, and make the reward unsatisfying. This systematic approach is far more effective than relying on willpower. First, make the cue invisible. If you don't see the trigger, the habit often won't even start. This is the simplest and most effective way to eliminate a bad habit. If you check your phone too much, a great strategy is to put it in another room for a few hours. If you eat junk food when you watch TV, don't keep it in the house. By removing the cues from your environment, you are not constantly fighting urges. You are creating a space where it is easier to do the right thing. You are engineering your surroundings for success, which requires far less mental energy than resisting temptation all day long. Second, make the craving unattractive. You can do this by reframing your mindset. Instead of thinking about what you are gaining from a bad habit, focus on what you are losing. For example, instead of thinking I need to check my phone for a break, you could reframe it as checking my phone will break my concentration and make it harder to finish my work, leaving me feeling more stressed later. By highlighting the negative consequences of the habit, you reduce its appeal. You are training your brain to associate the bad habit with a negative outcome, which naturally reduces the craving for it. Third, make the response difficult. We are naturally drawn to the path of least resistance. You can use this to your advantage by adding friction to your bad habits. If you want to stop checking your phone, you could log out of your social media apps after each use, forcing you to re-enter your password every time. You could set a complex, long password for your device. The more steps and effort required to perform the action, the less likely you are to do it. The goal is to make the bad habit so inconvenient that you simply won't bother with it most of the time. Finally, make the reward unsatisfying. And even better, replace the bad habit with a good one that provides a similar reward. If you check your phone because you crave a mental break, the reward, find a better way to get that break. For example, when you feel the urge, you could stand up and do a few stretches, walk around the room for 2 minutes, or, chat with a colleague. This new, healthier habit provides the same reward, a short break, but without the negative side effects. Understanding and reshaping the forces that drive our behavior is the true secret to breaking bad habits and building a life that we genuinely want.